turn off their
Okay.
phones.
Good afternoon. Now it works. First thing, Jane has given me orders to tell everybody that if your phones are on, to please remember to silence them or close them altogether. We want to give our speaker our full attention. And I want to welcome everyone to the first program of 2025. I was just going to introduce our speaker, but I decided because of the time that we are at today, I'm going to take 2 minutes and digress and tell you a little story. 15 months ago, I had previously contracted with a speaker to come here and present on a topic. 2 days before the date of the lecture, she called me up and said to me, "I'm sorry, I have to go out of town and I cannot come to the temple." And I had more than a momentary panic trying to figure out what I was going to do in the 2 days. I was actually going to inflict upon you a lecture I was going to give. And I know for certain you wouldn't want that. So I was just bereft. 24 hours later, that lady called me back and she said, "You know, it wasn't fair what I'm doing to you. I will come and I will speak, but I'm going to tell you why I intended to cancel." She said, this was last 15 months ago. She said, "Do you know what happened 4 days ago in Israel?" And she said, "My grandson is one of those soldiers that was kidnapped." And she said, "I've got my plane tickets ready, my bag is packed, and I'm on my way to Israel to, console with my family. So that's why I had canceled out on you. But in retrospect," she said, "when I thought about it, I realized," she said, "that I would be putting you in the lurch. And so," she said, "I decided to come here, leave my bag in the car, and from the temple, she went directly to Israel." Her name, in case it rings a bell with any of you, was Leah Poland. Her grandson, Hirsch Goldberg Poland. Some of you here were here at that time, and as you may know, their family was amongst the most vocal. They've met with President Biden. They even, I think, spoke at the United Nations. Her father is an American. I'm not sure if her mother is or isn't. In any event, as you may know, he was found murdered in one of the tunnels about a month or not that long ago. The reason I bring it up today is because Leah was coming to speak, and there was this major Israeli tumultuous event. Today, we have a speaker who I also contracted with a couple of months ago, and she's going to speak, as you know, about Zionism. And I think it's almost fortuitous or coincidental that also today Israel is in the news at the same time, but fortunately for something much more satisfying. 3 of the young ladies who were held, I was watching it until I got in the car today, 3 of the young Israeli female soldiers have been released. They are now in Israel. They've been taken to a local Sheba hospital in Tel Aviv, and they have been reunited with their families. So I don't know whether or not it's coincidental enough, but last year, as I say, we had someone who just happened to be connected with Israel who came on a very sad time. And today, thank goodness, we have someone who's come to speak about Israel on a much happier note. So I just wanted to throw that in. I hope I didn't take too much time. Hopefully we've said farewell, hopefully, to a Jewish world in disarray this past year. And we're going to look forward, hopefully, please God, to a period of peace and stability in the Middle East. We pray that with the ceasefire, which has just come into effect today, midnight last night, we'll hold firm, and that the balance of the hostage said that, we want to thank the Jerome Ira Salkoff Memorial Fund for sponsoring adult education here at the temple. As always, thanks to Eric Adams, the gentleman with the white hair sitting at the back, for his tech support, because as you could see, we couldn't even figure out how to turn on the mic. I also want to thank Susan Gornscher, who's not here today. She has agreed to undertake all the the advertising. So if you get inundated with a new design on our flyers, thanks to Susan. She's doing them a little differently this time. And Jane Brown, of course, is working with her. I'm Estelle Morgenstein and Jane Brown at the back. We're the two redheads. We are co-vice presidents of adult education here at the Temple. And if you are new here, we run for 7 months of the year, usually the third Sunday of the month. We run an adult education program titled Sundays at Sinai. And we always hopefully get speakers who will be interesting, informative, and sometimes entertaining. Today, after our speaker is done her presentation, you will be pleasantly surprised. Instead of offering you dessert, coffee, and a few nibbles, we have a fairly large spread to put out. So you will have access to some nice fruit and cheese and sweets. So I hope you all will stay and meet our speaker after her presentation. It's always good. Today, I'd like to introduce Sarah Weiss Poland. She is the Associate Director for Educational Growth and Strategy for the U.S. Southeast for Israel Link, Florida, the classroom branch of Stand With Us. She holds dual bachelor degrees in Women's Studies and Jewish Studies from Columbia University and the Jewish Theological Seminary, as well as a master's degree in education from the Davidson School at the Jewish Theological Seminary. With a focus on innovative curriculum design, Sarah has earned national recognition for her contributions to Jewish education and advocates for arts and education on the district level. She collaborates closely with educational leaders to develop community and family education programs. She is the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, and Sarah's dedication to advancing Israel education is infused with deep personal significance. I will now turn the floor over to Sarah, who will be speaking to us on what does Zionism mean to us today. Sarah?
Thank you so much. I'm actually going to take this microphone. It's okay if I move about. Sometimes I hear my bio read and I say, oh, wow, yeah, I did do all of that. So thank you so much. It always sounds bigger than it is. This is just me. And I wish I invite you all to be collaborative when I give any sort of workshop or presentation. If you have any questions or want to say something, feel free to raise a hand, and if I'm not in the middle of something immediate, I will, of course, take comments and questions, and it should be interactive. So thank you so much, Estelle, for mentioning that today. Just before we walked in, and as we're speaking right now, these amazing mothers have just met their 3 daughters and at this hospital, and it was amazing. If you haven't watched it, look at some of these images, and it just when we start to learn, we do any sort of webinar or conference, anything that we do, we want to think about who we are devoting our learning to that day. So it's a mitzvah to do, and so it's a mitzvah to learn. And so we are in a synagogue, and so I think that we should do that together. So I would like to dedicate our learning today to those 3 young ladies who have thankfully returned home, and obviously in honor and hopefully that we receive our other hostages in peace and health and well-being. So Amen for that. And since we did that, I'm just going to take off our Achenu. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, if you don't know what Stand With Us is, I'm just going to start with that. So raise of hands if you've heard of Stand With Us. All right, we're good. Raise of hands if you follow Stand With Us on any sort of social media. Do you follow Stand With Us? How many people like their social media? TikTok just got banned this morning. My kids are like freaking out, but apparently it came back. So if you don't follow social media, I would encourage you to either on your Facebook, or if some of you have gone crazy and gone to Instagram, definitely follow Stand With Us. It's one of those things that you younger generations are looking at. It's also a really, really great opportunity to learn about validated on time information that is going on in Israel and around the world in terms of anti-Semitism. So Stand With Us, if you do not know, is an international organization combating anti-Semitism and educating about Israel. So we have different branches. We have a legal branch who work with any kind of thing you can think of. If there's anti-Semitism going on in any of the fields, there's our classroom network, which is also, we just rebranded. We were actually middle school. So I was originally middle school branch of Stand With Us. And then there's high school, campus, and community. So just to give you an idea, we have a lot of people on campus. And as you can imagine, we have like Title VI going on right now with Lehigh. There's a lot going on campus. I am not that person to answer all of those questions. My day is based in speaking to educators, principals, directors of synagogue schools and day schools, and sometimes in public schools as well. Sometimes a public school, maybe like I have someone in End Hate Now or Stop the Hate. It depends on a different public school networks that will give us a call and say, can you come and do a workshop? You would think, why are we teaching this education, this Israel education and combating anti-Semitism? Why are we even doing that? And why did we even start doing that in our synagogue schools and day schools? Like, aren't we preaching to the choir? They already know, like, they're good. Why aren't we concentrating on public school? And the truth is, if you have children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you would know that it's actually, if you ask your kids, your grandkids, which I have and have continued to teach. Just last week, I taught a group of 7th graders in a very affluent, beautiful, wonderful, I won't tell you where, conservative congregation. And it's not like it's new. It's not new. You could even go into a day school in Fort Lauderdale. You go into a day school and I say the words, what is Zionism? And people actually don't know the definition of Zionism. So this is something that we're trying to really take from sort of the ground up, really helping people, these young kids, to be able to identify their own Jewish identity. Because if they don't, we can't ask anybody. We can't ask anybody, our college kids, our 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds, anybody, and even people who are now parents, and even us, to you guys, to stand up for something if we don't know what we're standing up for. So that is really, really important. And that's why we do the education that we do. So today I decided to do a little bit of a program with you that I do across the board. I do it with young kids. I do it with folks your age. I do it with people who are in my age group, with sort of teens, young teens in their house. And it's an important thing to do because we hear the word Zionism all the time right now. And there are some words, we were just discussing that there are some words that, like, sometimes they take on a new meaning, right? Can you give me an example of something that might have been appropriate or been okay to say a long time ago, but that might have changed meaning to today without being crass? Because we are on Zoom. Hello to the people on Zoom. And we are being recorded. So no being crass, but can you give me an example of a word that was before that is for now? Yeah. Negro, that's right. Something that you can't really, it's changed its definition. Yeah. Gay. Yes. Happy and gay, right? We can't know. That's not appropriate. Actually, just in our own work that we do, we have a video, and it's all about complex conversations and determining anti-Semitism from legitimate criticism of Israel. And every time before I play that video, especially I went to a Hadassah event, before I play that video, I say, I just want to let you know that there is a word in here that I don't want you all to freak out. But this girl who's a teenager speaking to rest of her teens say, come on, guys, you're the woke generation, the ones who make a difference, the ones who stand up. And everyone like nearly had a heart attack, like, oh my gosh, you're saying the word woke. And so this is one of those examples that people are trying to change the definition on us of the word Zionism. And if we didn't even understand what the word Zionism is, it's time for us to understand. So there are two parts of this. One, we're going to understand truly the definition of the word Zionism. And if you think that you did, you don't. So we'll go through those today. We're going to understand all the different kinds of Zionism that there are. And then we're actually going to, I'm going to task you, because we probably won't have time today, I'm going to task you with creating your own definition of Zionism. Why is this important? And why am I bringing this to you? Again, the reason I'm bringing this to you is because it is important. And I say this to parents as well when I do intergenerational programming.
That's the picture.
We hold certain values to be true that we want to pass on to our children and grandchildren. Some people, I have sat in a room with parents who, because I do a B'nai Mitzvah program also for bar and bat mitzvah kids. I say, I want everybody, we're going to sit for a couple minutes, and I want everybody to tell their children, sitting there with their children, I want you to tell them why it is important to you that they have a bar bat mitzvah. Because if you haven't told them your story yet, it's time now. So I'm going to reiterate that with you guys. Sometimes we think that our kids, and especially our grandkids, know our why you've decided to sit in this room, why you've decided to spend a beautiful Sunday in Boca when it's gorgeous outside and sit in this room. And if you've explained those reasons why, your why, you have decided to support Israel, what your stories are in the past. If you haven't done so, it's time to do so now. And you need to be able to form what you're going to say, because for sure, if they haven't already, I've had people your age come to me crying. They're crying, and they're right. They're crying. Their kids are standing. If your kids live in New York, some of those kids are on the Brooklyn Bridge because they are for Jewish Voices for Peace. And that is happening, and that's okay. We just need to be able to tell our kids what it is that we believe, be open to hear them, because most of the time their values are matching your values. You're just not getting to the same end goal, right? So we need to be able to identify the values and identify our why, and be able to eloquently relay those values and your why to your grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Everyone on the same page? Yes? Okay. Raise your hands if anybody has had an experience like that with their grandchildren. Nobody? Here we go. I'm like, nobody? That's amazing. Okay. Hold on. Here you go. Here you go. Thank you. Sorry. Right.
When my grandchildren were ages 7, 5, and 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Give this one back.
Okay, when they were that age, they were in someplace in Broward County. I can't remember the name of the school district, but there were a bunch of people in their classes, even in kindergarten and pre-kindergarten, who believed that the Holocaust never happened, whose parents had been Nazis. And my daughter and my son-in-law took the children on a vacation to Auschwitz so that they would understand that whatever it is that anybody else was spouting, this was the truth.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. And that is happening. So if you haven't heard in many, like if I'm doing a high school program, which is incredible, I actually in middle school too, I don't know if you would be surprised, but I ask them, years ago, I would say, have you encountered anti-Semitism in your life? And some of them maybe would raise their hands. I did a program last year. No. 2 years ago, so it's pre-October 7th. How many of you, it was a high school program, have experienced anti-Semitism at school? All of them. There were like 30 kids in the room. And then now I'm teaching a middle school class, and there are about 40 kids. There was a great attendance on the first day. First day you get a lot of attendance. And I said to them, like, let's talk about your Jewish identity. How many of you have had, and this was post October 7th, how many of you are experiencing any sort of like weird feeling or something going on. And I wouldn't say everybody, but like a majority of them had a story that whether it was actually in their own classes or from their teachers. I have my own son came home correcting wrong. This poor teacher picked the wrong kid, right? To make a mistake, like to put something out. My own kid was like changing stuff on the side. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And let me tell you why. But so these kids are experiencing things that I say, give them the willies, right? You don't really know how to respond. You know that it makes you angry and you know that you want to respond, but you don't know how and you don't know what. And it's very, very debilitating when you feel that way. So stand with us in the work that we do. And that's why if you want to tell children, great grandchildren, I'm sure that most of them, a lot of them follow Stand With Us because it's they're very, very popular on social media. Okay, so this is the Stand With Us website. I just wanted to show you. Okay, so let's go into it. Okay, so let's just give a basic definition of Zionism. Let's pull it together. Who wants to start? Go. I'll repeat. So Hadassah says the belief that Israel's right to exist. Would anyone like to add to that? Would anyone like to add? You have something to add? To support the state of Israel. Zionism is a support of the state of Israel and the right for Israel to exist. Anybody else want to add? Yes.
Zionism is a welfare program for those people in the state of Israel and also, I think, in other countries who might have been Holocaust survivors, but who, for whatever reason, do not have the means to be able to exist without help.
Okay, that is interesting. I haven't heard of that. The way that you're saying the word welfare, I might have even said that it's more of like an insurance policy, right? Like a welfare opportunity, which is like, but when that we have a place to go home to, right? So that Israel as a home, the Jewish people, anybody else want to add anything? Okay, yes. Correct. Zionism, yes, it did. Zionism existed before the existence of the state of Israel. Oh, sorry, I have feedback. I apologize. So the definition of Zionism as of today is the belief that the Jewish people have a right to the land of Israel, a right to their own homeland in the land of Israel, and the right of self-determination. Self-determination. That's an important component to the definition of Zionism. What is self-determination defined as in the definition of Zionism? What does that mean? What is self-determination and why would it be important? I'm sure you know the answer to this. Yeah. Decisions. Good. The ability to make your own decisions. What else? And that is, it's yes, your ability to make your own decisions and yeah. Choose your own democratic government and something really, really important, your own homeland. Yes, welcoming Jews all over the world. You guys are missing an important one, Eric. Yes, Eric for 5,000. Okay, Eric is the winner. So although you guys had a lot of very good answers and all true, that component of saying self-determination means that we as the state of Israel have a right to defend ourselves when those things are combated, right? When this concept of that the Jews do not have a right to their own land in the state of Israel, we will have the ability to fight against that. So that component of adding that self-determination is super, super important. So let me just show you where I'm getting some of this stuff just because I said it quickly. So this is, hold on one second. Sorry, I just went off. So this is actually, I'm working off of a website called Israel Link, which is what you heard that I work mainly inside of. So Israel Link is a platform. It's an online platform that is used in schools by teachers for their students. People can also use it for homeschool. I've given it to a lot of different people. Federations use it. I've taught it to tons and tons of people because the information is good. the information is important, and it's actually probably, it's pretty high level, but it's also appropriate for kids as young as middle school. But so this is the Israel Link website, and as you can see, there are lots of different units, but these are our lessons, and so kids, teachers can go into here. I'm showing you this because it's kind of fun. We talk about what an ism means, and I just want to point out it here. It says the right, I didn't want to be wrong, the right of the Jewish people to statehood and self-determination in their ancestral homeland. So no matter how many times I read through, you can do a lot of different times, but that is the most concise definition. One more time. The right of the Jewish people to statehood and self-determination in their ancestral homeland. Okay, so obviously not Uganda, which we were offered a long time ago, right? I would say, actually, just yesterday, I said, if we were in Alabama, would this be any different? Like, no, it wouldn't. Like, this would be the same, because sometimes we ask ourselves these questions, right? Are we, as Jews and as Zionists, people who believe in this concept of Jewish statehood, we do ask this question, or the same as probably our ancestors asked a long time ago, are we making the right decision? Is this a good thing? And struggling with those questions does not make you anti anything. I think struggling with those questions makes you very Jewish, right? Makes you very Jewish to ask all of those questions. And, yes. I'm going to go through, I'll go through with you anyway. Actually, I can make it, I know it is a little blurry. I don't know why it's blurry. I can make this, I don't know if that helps it to make it a little bit bigger. Well, I'm going to go through it anyway. And I'm happy to send this. I'll send this to you so you can send it to whoever you want. So let's go over. So did everybody know that there are different kinds of Zionism and there are different reasons why, right? You can say, yes, I believe, I say to a group of people, raise your hand if you believe that the Jewish people have a right to their own homeland. Some people will say no. Some people will say yes. Do you believe that this homeland should be in the land of Israel? Some people will say no. Some people will say yes. And then if you say yes, there was this one class I went to the other day, and all these kids were so sure, yes, yes, yes. And this was my favorite, a teacher who was on, raised their hand and they said, yes, the Jewish people have a right to, the land. And I said, okay, great. I'm like, why? Why? Tell me why. Why do you have this belief? And, why do you feel that the Jewish people should have a right to their own homeland? Like, what is the basis? Why do you believe this? And so this teacher, who was actually trained in an Orthodox background, what do you think that teacher said? An Orthodox background teacher. What? It's in the Bible. Torah-based. So a lot of people will do, not that it's wrong. It's right. It's completely valid. It's absolutely. It is written in the Torah, lech lecha, God said, Hashem lechacha ma'artzecha mi'moladetzcha, leave your homeland, mi'beit avicha, of your grandparents, and go to where you came from, right? Go. And, that's our ancestors. That's where all of, people are buried. We have, Cave of Machpelah. We have lots of things that are in that place. And God made that place. That's where our temple stood. And that is where, the city of David, the whole thing, biblical. And I said, that's excellent. I said, do you know what that kind of Zionism is called? Who knows what that kind of Zionism is called? Religious Zionism. Good. Religious Zionism. What other kinds of Zionism are there? It is, but you said it was blurry. Pretend you don't see it. Or even if you do see it, so we could say, even if you do see it, there's labor, political, revisionary, cultural, and there are more, and then religious. Tell me does anybody know what any of them mean? Do you have okay, go ahead.
All right. I do not know what kind of Zionism this is, but we were voted to have the land along with people who had lived in the land. It was separated. And we were told by the United Nations that the land was ours. Is that political Zionism?
Okay, so we'll go over. So let me just back up for a second and say, let's try and take some of your why. So when somebody says to you, you know, that you believe that the Jewish people should have a right to the land in the land of Israel, what is your why? If someone were to say that, why do you believe, like, what would you say? Would you say because it was written in the Torah? How many people would say because it's Torah? Not a wrong, you could say it's an also, because it's Torah. Okay, why else? Okay, our ancestors lived there thousands of years ago, and so we have a right to the land simply because we have lived there, right? It's part of our culture. What else? Yes, thank you.
Off and on for many, many years. I mean, it's not like it's 1948 happened and suddenly all the Jews were there. There were Jews there throughout history.
Exactly. Okay, so same as what you said, same thing, that we have lived in the land. I want you to think outside even without like having Israel today. Like, what would you even say? Right? So yes, we would say that the Jewish people should be in that land because we have been in that land throughout time. From ancient times till today, we have maintained a continuous presence in the land of Israel. So absolutely, that is one of the reasons. You have something, Eric?
It's one of the only countries in that region that really has freedom and democracy.
It's
So
okay.
I don't know what the right word is, a nest egg for freedom throughout the world, if nothing else. And another reason, and I'm sure this is not a very popular reason, but it's a truth, they took it militarily. They took it. And whether that was right or wrong, it happened. And when militaries take property, they get to keep them.
Right. Okay, that is absolutely true. Again, I want to go back to like your reasons why, right? If you were to say like your ethical reason of why you, not an ethical or just, it could be, again, it could be cultural. It could be, you know, I believe that the Jewish people should be in that land and that should be an ancestral homeland because. Yeah.
I'm thinking that some of the Jewish benefactors paid the warlords, the Arab warlords. They paid for the land that at the time Israel was being formed, they were paid, the warlords were paid, not that the people got the money.
Right. Okay. So yes, you could say that because of our continuous presence, we have paid, and have deeds to parts of that land. And so therefore we have a right to that land. Okay, good. All right. You have something more?
British forces. They can't hear you. And Balfour, when Lord Balfour
Yeah.
signed a document, he was a British parliamentarian.
Yeah, we'll look
He
at that.
signed the Balfour Declaration, which promised the Jews a homeland in what today is the state of Israel. And when it came up for a vote in the United Nations, and I actually have the vote on a tape at home, the majority of the members of the United Nations voted to establish the modern state of Israel. So that's a legal reason why we have it.
That's right. There is a legal reason. That is true. But what you brought up though, is this idea of the importance of having international recognition. And what you brought up was Dreyfus Affair and Dreyfus Affair, you know, in Vienna, right, in France. And so talking about that is political Zionism, making sure, so that was an important component, right? Politically, we believe that we need to have maybe we're too close, that we need to have a place that belongs to us and that is internationally recognized. And that is the Herzl Zionism. So that is actually, so there are really two different kind of Zionisms that I would say are like our most popular. One is our religious Zionism, which is the idea of the Torah, which we just went over. And then there's modern, which we kind of call modern Zionism, and that's political Zionism. So that is Theodore Herzl is the founder of political Zionism. And since I'm sick of, I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk, I'm actually going to show you I'll decide 1 or 2 short videos that actually we show to everyone. There's one that's specifically for kids, which is amazing information, but I won't show that to you because it's animated, so I won't show that to you. But these are some of the major parts of Zionism, and then we'll go back to our different kinds. So on our site, we have like some brilliant people who did this, with just what you were talking about, just because you said it. The partition approving by more than 33 vote yes, and 13 are no, and 10 abstain in 1947 of the vote. So it's very cool to see these. And then, of course, the Palestine Post saying that the state of Israel is born. That's our 1948. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, so actually I'm going to go to, hold on one second. I'm sorry. I want to show you, I'm going to show you this video. So this is a Theodor Herzl video. It's literally a minute, but just to give you an idea, a very, very, very short of who Theodor Herzl was and the importance. Does that feel like that's? Your Dreyfus affair. It's the date of 1897, the Zionist Congress. So you could see what was Herzl's reason? His reason for political Zionism, right? What was his reason to make sure that he believed that the Jewish people need to have their own lands in the land of Israel? What was his reasoning behind it? Anybody? Anyone who hasn't spoken yet today? I'm sorry, that teacher in me is just about to call on you. So tell me, tell me somebody else, like what was the reason behind? Go ahead, yeah. Assimilation is a failure. Why? Dreyfus trial. Gave an example. Anti-Semitism. Okay. So that is what fueled. So if you were to say, I think that the Jewish people should have lands of their own in the land of Israel and should be able to defend that land. One reason why you might be thinking that is not because it's only from Torah, it's because of anti-Semitism, right? Because assimilation is a failure, right? So we could potentially, I mean, you're going through a definite wave of anti-Semitism. Some might say, b'chol dor v'dor, in every generation, we're going through a wave of anti-Semitism, right? It was interesting. My kids, as I said, who were teens, are going through a wave of anti-Semitism that I didn't go through. And I feel terrible. My nephew just went on birthright. He's 20 years old, and he had not been, for other reasons, he had not been in Israel till just 2 weeks ago. And his last night in Israel, his last day, he was at a Chabad in Jerusalem. And I don't know if you know the news, on Saturday, on Shabbos, they had barrage of missiles. And so my 20-year-old nephew, who had never been to Israel before, had to run into shelter. Now, we all go through different things, right, in different generations. My kids, but makes normal. My kids, they do drills, making sure just if there's a live active shooter, right? These are just things that I understand that we get used to potentially in our lives, and we go through different things. But so some might say that a very strong reason why the Jews need to have a state of their own is anti-Semitism. And that, of course, Herzl really wanted to make sure, one of the major points that Herzl really wanted to make sure was that it was internationally recognized, United Nations internationally recognized. So that is political Zionism. The belief here, we can read it. Hold on. Let me escape. Let me go back to this. Types of Zionism. So the political Zionism, Theodor Herzl. Okay, actually, I have a really good one here. Theodor Herzl is known as the father of modern Zionism from his work as the driving force behind political Zionism. His vision of Zionism was to establish a sovereign Jewish state on Jewish-owned land with international approval and recognition. Okay, that's the major. That's them. I don't need to read through all of it. It's actually very, very cool if you wanted to do the math. A little fun fact, 1897 to 1947 is 50 years. So that's really, and he did say, mark my words. That is literally what he said. He said, when he went to the first Zionist Congress, one of the quotes is, mark my words, today we founded the state of Israel. Maybe not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but definitely in 50. And so kind of gives you goosebumps because that happened. So it's pretty amazing. Okay, so then let's just look for a second. We talked about religious Zionism. So I'm just going to go to that. Wait, this is cultural. Religious Zionism was actually, you can see, it's actually founded by Rav Avraham Isaac Kook. So if you are a religious Zionist or have components of religious Zionism in your blood, you would be in agreement with Rav Kook. They call him Rav Kook, right? Rabbi Avraham Isaac Kook. So religious Zionism saw the return of the Jewish people living and cultivating the land of Israel as central to the fulfillment as biblical prophecy. We're supposed to go back to that land. Mashiach will come, is what other messiahs might come to Israel, right? With whoever is coming to Israel to build temples of their own. But we are waiting for our Mashiach to come, Mashiach, and he'll come and he'll build, we'll rebuild their temple where? Not in Alaska. We will build it in the land of Israel in Jerusalem. So it says after the 5th Zionist Congress, Rav Kook reigns established the Mizrahi movement, which encourages the cultural activities associated with Zionism to be combined with one of religious significance. The youth arm of the Mizrahi movement is known today as B'nai Akiva. Okay, so these things live on today. Okay, so this is Rav Kook. He was originally from Latvia, and he moved to the land of Israel in 1904. Very strict following the religious laws. Okay, who here has been to Italy? Good. What would Italy be without Italian, right? Or with our own, right? When you're a culture, a community, there are some important things, right? The Jewish people have their own culture. They have their own traditions. They have their own language, right? As Hebrew is their own language. If you believe, let's see a definition. This is cultural Zionism. So cultural Zionism is founded on the maintaining of ethos of Jewish history and culture. Okay, Achad Ha'am thought that a Jewish homeland would create a Jewish cultural center and serve to reinforce Jewish life in the diaspora. He wanted to modernize Judaism, making sure Hebrew was spoken. Jewish traditions were widespread. Achad Ha'am, born Asher Hirsch Ginsburg, was raised in Kiev in Ukraine. Okay, so there's actually another video if you feel like watching it. On the creation of the Hebrew language, right? On the modernization of the Hebrew language. And that was really important. As a people, right? Are we a nation? Are we a people? Are we a religion? Are we a race? What the hell are we, right? We're all of those things. We're all of those things. And Achad Ha'am decided that because of those things, we needed to have our own land, right? What would the Italians be without Italy? Now, if you think about it like that, it kind of makes sense, right? Okay, so let's see another reason. This is revisionist Zionism. I'm actually gonna, and in a second, I'm gonna show you this really, really cool map, which will show you when you're interested, I'll tell you, we'll look at a little bit more information about them. Who has heard of revisionist Zionism? 1. Okay. Oh my gosh, I love this. This means that we're learning something new because you never know. You guys are very, very smart. So I don't know whether or not I'm teaching you something new. Okay. Revisionist Zionism emerged in 1925 as a counterforce to political Zionism, advocating for the entirety of the land of Israel as the future Jewish state. The movement, marked by an assertive and at times violent approach, established the youth organization Beitar. Okay, to instill like military and nationalistic ethos. In dissent from Yishuv Haganah Defense Organization, revisionists formed their own parliamentary group called the Irgun. Okay, so this is Jabotinsky. Okay, everybody hear of Jabotinsky? Okay, good. So this is Zev Jabotinsky, was born in Russia. And he played a role in the Zionist movement after the 1903 Kishinev pogrom. He organized the Jewish Self-Defense Organization and became a delegate with the 6th Zionist Congress. Okay, I'm just going to the end. Says Jabotinsky was elected to the First Assembly of Representatives in Palestine, later joining the Executive Council of Zionist Organization. But in 1923, differences with Chaim Weizmann led him to leave the mainstream Zionist movement, and he founded the Alliance of Revisionist Zionists. So he was a little stronger than political Zionism. Political Zionism was really getting international recognition and making sure that it was done in a more diplomatic way. And Jabotinsky, probably, I'm sure of us, some of us even today, especially, are having these conversations. Right? What is justice? What do we want to do? Do we want to do this the way where we're going to get international recognition and everyone is going to be okay? Or are we going to Jabotinsky? Or are we going to blow everybody up? Right? And these are the conversations. They're the conversations that people were having at the very, very beginning of talking about Zionism and what it means to have our own land. It was literally the same conversation that if you sit in a room of people who are talking about Israel and what is happening today, you will be having this conversation, right? Someone will say, I really think we should just blow them all up, right? Yes. Yes. Jabotinsky, Menachem Begin. Yes. Do you have something to say?
That question was during the 7-year war. Okay, please. Okay.
It's okay. I'll repeat. It's okay. I'll repeat you. Go ahead.
When Israel conquered the land during the 7-day war,
Mhm.
that question came about, and there was a lot of questions about whether Israel should return the land or not.
That's right. Yes. So she was just saying, what's your name? Okay, thank you so much. She's just saying that after the 7-day war, after we did conquer over this amount of time militarily, we were able to conquer a different land, Sinai Peninsula, and we know whether or not we should give lands back, even these conversations happen. Right. And, we always want to say that, Jewish values and certainly we're seeing today, if there's anything that we're seeing today and throughout this time, we are just seeing, the Jewish values come out. This is the cost of life is, the most important. And that's our Jewishness coming out. The last one is labor Zionism. So some of you may even have family that were pioneers in the land, or could be after Holocaust, went to Israel to go and pioneer the land, right? To go and create JNF, right? What do we do with JNF? What's JNF's whole mission? Plant a tree, right? Why are we planting, right? They do lots and lots of stuff, but you have got to plant a tree, right? Planting a tree in Israel. These are the major things because we to work on the land. That is our goal, right? Is to work the land. And I think probably labor Zionism would even talk about this tech stuff today, but I feel like it's that kind of thing, right? To like create innovation in the land, to take this and make this a beacon of hope and to, till the earth. And so this is labor Zionism encouraged Aliyah. Everyone should move, right? Make Jewish immigration to the land and socialist ideas like a kibbutz. And this was David Ben-Gurion. He believed if you want to own the land, you have to work the land. So labor Zionists founded the Histadrut, which became one of the most powerful institutions within the Yishuv, the de facto Jewish government in British Mandatory Palestine, and the Haganah, the precursor to the IDF. So David Ben-Gurion, he immigrated to Ottoman Palestine himself at 20. So let me just show you a different way to look at it. There's actually something super fun on our site that I share with the kids. Other kinds of Zionism. So in this map, I don't know if you can see it, in this map, you can click on any of these. It's like a Google map and they have little, do you see those? And you can click on those and you can see like different places. Like this is the Dreyfus Affair. And on the map, you can actually see, like make it a tiny bit bigger, the map itself. And you can see like, this is the Dreyfus Affair. This is political Zionism in Austria. And then there are photos of each of them, right? This is Herzl in Austria. These are some pictures of Austria, if anyone has gone. So it's kind of, these are ways that it really takes you for a moment to see what the whole landscape of Zionism is, right? Of why we truly believe that we should go into the land. Are we a people? Let's review. Who would like to review? Let's review. Religious Zionism, and you'll tell me if I missed any. Religious Zionism, biblical. Labor Zionism, because it's our land, we should work the land. We should move, we should stay there, we should work the land. Innovation. Political Zionism, we want to get international recognition, mainly because assimilation is a failure. Someone could say that that's the case now and growing. Anti-Semitism growing, right? And international recognition of the state of Israel. Cultural Zionism, we're a people, we're a race, we should stick together. We need to have a lands of our own because we are a culture, a people, all of that, right? An a nation. What is a nation without a place? What were some of the others that we did? What were some of the others? Let me see if you guys remember. Revisionist. Thank you. What was revisionist? Come on, you guys are very smart. Who remembers revisionist? Good. Military, right? That's our land. We are going to get our land and we are going to do it with force, right?
Why is that called revisionist?
Why is it called? Because I think it's a revisionist idea of like a revision of like, maybe because of what was going on at the time, because we're saying like with Ben-Gurion and just like a different idea, maybe that's why they like a revised version of the Haganah. Yeah. No, all of this is before, all of it. Yeah, what's so interesting, and I think that that is very, very, very important in a lot of the schools that we go to, and I think historically, I sometimes say this experiment of Hebrew school that we all had to live through, and even what they're doing now, they do for like some of the 6th and 7th graders, they do Holocaust for one part of the year, and then they do Israel in the second part of the year. And it really messes with a kid's mind because it's so important to know that Zionism and Israel and the thought of Israel were so far before Holocaust, and it makes it almost look like a consolation prize. 1 and then 2. Yeah.
Fair amount to do with the fact that, yes, it was cultural and revisionist. It was something you could see and feel, but it's absolutely and so much more than that, because the technical aspect and the success of the technical aspects all through Israel with the people and the creation of so many things that the world couldn't do. That's how revisionism came to be.
Yeah.
So I accept it.
Possible. Yes. And that would be labor also as well. Okay, yeah.
Biggest problem today in science is with the Jewish people itself. That is the question, one state or two state solution. It's the biggest controversy. I know that the Zionist Organization of America is the only organization that specifies that the only solution which I believe as well, is a one-state solution.
Mm-hmm.
But the world, majority of people are pushing for two-state solution.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the historical and the recent background of that.
Mm-hmm.
has been.
Right. Well, it's, yes. Well, let me just do sort of a party line. So Stand With Us is an educational organization. So historically, we don't have like a side. On the other hand, we are extremely, that Israel has a right to the land and the right to defend itself. We also do teach the kids, and what's really, really important in our program and our platform is one of the only platforms that talk about that we were there, but there are also other people. Right. And that's really, really important, because this movement of these, Jewish Voices for Peace or other movements that you never told me, that's literally because, I went to also, and when I was young, we just never heard that there was anybody else there. And I think that not of anybody's wrongdoing on purpose, or, that it came out of any malice in any way, but just because we were trying to learn our side, we forgot to inform our kids that someone eventually might say, well, you know what? My grandmother was also there, right? And so it's just important to educate that we were there. There was a continuous presence in the land. And yeah, right now it's just Stand With Us is an educational organization where we really try and teach, we teach Arab Israeli, Israeli Arabs, Israeli Jews as part of our curriculum to understand the relationship was certainly not what it is today. And it comes from education. People in Israel are not learning. Certainly not our curriculum. Our kids know more than Israelis do. They say they never learn about the conflict. They just don't know. It's not a part of the Israeli curriculum. Yeah, what time is it? Am I okay on time? Just about time. Okay, I'll take 2 more comments and then I think we'll end for today. And we could be free to ask me other questions. This has been so great. Yeah, go ahead.
As you said, the Palestinians also have been there, and
Palestinians have also been there.
And in order for everybody to feel fair treatment, we have to be fair to the other side as well, and expect fairness from the other side.
Right.
You can't win if you're not willing to accept certain truths.
Right. And historically, we have tried to, well, that's the history, try to maintain peace, try to get peace treaties. There, after each war, we have, there's a war and there's peace.
No.
Right, an attempt at peace. Go ahead.
At the same time as Haganah, there was also Irgun. Haganah was each little settlement had its own defense force. Haganah eventually became the IDF, but before Israel was a state, each separate settlement.
Right.
And we talk about them, but also the Arabs had their equivalent of Haganah for each. When my first husband was in World War II and he worked with the Jewish Brigade was from Haganah. So that was prior to the end of World War II.
That's right. So interesting. I work with, I'm a Jewish educator, and I went to day school and I went to ATS. And one of the reasons that I got the job that I'm in, I'm not telling a fake story, it's actually the truth. I said, I'm a Jewish educator, but I don't teach Israel. I feel really uncomfortable teaching Israel. I'm sure there are people who know more and can do more. And that's when she said, you're hired. So everything that I create, and I create content on the platform, is with that in mind, that we have Jewish educators, we have sometimes parents who are teaching in Hebrew schools, and or people that just don't feel comfortable teaching. It's really important that we give them the tools to teach. So I would task you, in closing, I would task you to now go home and write your own little paragraph. Like, really think it through together with your partner or on your own and say, what is it? What is my reason why? Taking all of these into account and maybe other things, and then share it, share your reasons why. So thank you so much for the opportunity to teach you today. This was so much fun. Thank you.
If anybody's interested, I remember, I think, suggesting to you that you might want to bring some material for distribution. I don't know if you did. I happen to have some sheets that talk about what Stand With Us is all about. They're the only sheets I have. I have one of each. But if anybody would like to look at it, this one is 10 things you can do to fight anti-Semitism. And this one talks about October 7th, changed everything. So although we live in the United States, I believe that every Jew should and does hopefully support Israel, at least in their hearts, if not in their pocketbooks, regardless of your politics. And I would like to thank you very much, Sarah, on behalf of Temple Sinai, for your thoughtful and provoking presentation as to why we as Jews must never waver in our support of Israel. Because, you know, when push comes to shove and things get bad, whether it was in Germany or whether it was in the Arab lands following the establishment of the State of Israel, we Jews had nowhere to go. Today, we have the land of Israel. Thank you. Our next program will take place on February 9. Dr. Rose Feinberg, and I'm sure many of you remember her because she's a returnee, will be our guest speaker. She's got a new and exciting interactive program, different from anything she's ever done for us before. Her flyer will be emailed to you shortly, I know several times, by Jane. Until then, we would like to invite everyone and our guest speaker to join us, please. At the back table, we're offering a little bit extra in the way of desserts. We have a nice cheese tray, we have fruit, and we have some sweets as well as hot and cold drinks. Please join our speaker if you'd like to converse with her, challenge her, agree with her. She's going to be available to you. Thank you and have a good day.